Bring that joy. Bring that joy.
In one word, describe the game's hangout.
Vibrant. Everyone's kind of getting along, playing games.
I would be underestimating if I gave it any less than a 10, right? I've met some fantastic people here today, so it's a 10.
Oh, I'm loving it. I'm loving it, especially this drink from Quarter of Cards. Yes, the best drink ever, passion fruit.
I had a lot of fun, honestly. I feel I've been in touch with my inner child, which is something I should do more.
Such a different atmosphere altogether. I don't think I have ever been to such an event earlier.
What's your impression of Builder's Tribe so far?
Builder's Tribe just screams community. It's just for the people.
The way you've managed and organized this event, I'm really impressed because it's something that we haven't done before and we were lacking as a community.
It's a nice community. I love how you came up with the idea to network with a lot of people. Networking, chilling, hanging out, playing cards. I love it. Drinks, especially. I love my drinks.
Community, coming together. I've met 60 people today, which is really good, and I'm going to take those meetings further. I'm going to just through games.
It is getting interesting, and I think after today's conversation that I had around the table, there's some interesting subject and plan and project coming up.
This tech community is different in terms of the way networking is being happening. There are these young minds behind it, so we get to learn a lot with these guys.
I've been looking for a community such as this for quite some time.
It's a lovely community actually and diverse. I love that I met some people who work with as mentors in the community, and it's also fun to see some university students joining, so there's a really diverse, let's say, background of people joining all in all.
Hi guys, welcome to today's lovely event. You can tech to your journey starts here. So this event is brought to you by Builders Tribe, the #1 tech community in the MENA region. So before we kick things off, tell me in the comments, where are you joining us from? Are you in Qatar? Are you in Nigeria? Are you in the US? Are you in Brazil? Are you in the UK? Just type it into the comments and tell us where you're joining in from. Today is going to be pretty exciting because we're going to be talking about tech and how you can do tech without having to code and without having to be a part of the product team. We have amazing panelists, people from different walks of life that still work in tech, and they're going to be sharing their experiences, they'll be answering your questions, and they will be telling you how you can do what they've done and how you can also tech too. All right. So we have our first keynote speaker, Nicole Franco. She's the co-CEO of Care Intelligence, a wonderful company, and I think she's going to tell us a lot more about it. So for the next 10 minutes, Nicole is going to tell us about her journey in tech and how she has been able to do all the things that she has done with marketing and everything around building a tech company. So yeah, over to you, Nicole.
Hi guys, or good evening, at least here from Brazil. Hope everyone is doing okay. It's currently 1 p.m. in Brazil. I don't know what time it is elsewhere in the world. So first of all, thank you, Ajiri, for connecting and introducing me. I have an important disclaimer. I'm at home with my 1-year-old, and she's with the babysitter right now. So in case you hear kids' background noises, don't be alarmed. It's my kid. So that's an important disclaimer. So first of all, just introducing myself very quickly. I have a 10-year-old career in terms of marketing. I've worked as a marketing manager in multinationals such as AB InBev, which is the largest brewer in the world. Have also been head of marketing in different startups, from logistics to tourism, so everything you can think of. I've also founded a few startups. One I exited it from, and the other one failed. So it was a pretty interesting journey. But I think my main expertise is marketing. So glad to be here and explain a little bit better from my perspective on how I've been working in this field in terms of technology, but in the marketing perspective. So I think one of the important things, and I think the most important thing in marketing has taken so many different routes. There's so many different names and strategies and teams. You have growth marketing, you have digital marketing, you have SEO, you have ABM, you have branding. But essentially, what marketing is, and in the technology world is the same, is a strategy to go to market and retain clients, right? And make sure that your product is being used all over the world and that the company is financially sustainable. So I think people are often forgetting that. And just yesterday, I was with a very large community of marketing directors from Brazil, and they were saying that there's a concept that is vanity metrics, right? So people are just purchasing so many different tools and tech tools and reading and looking and finding different KPIs, and they're forgetting the basics of what marketing is and where it's coming from. So I think the number one thing I would mention in terms of career in marketing is don't forget to look at marketing for what it is. And I think this means knowing what your product is and who your client is. Might be very obvious to see that, but honestly, like at least half of the companies that I meet, the CMOs or the marketing teams, they forget that, and they don't know what their ICP is, so their ideal customer profile. And I think that's number 2 on the steps, like understanding really who your client is, even before purchasing any tech, even before understanding the tools you're going to use, is really digging deep into who your client is. Because when we are in a marketing perspective, we forget that we're also clients. So it's funny because we'll browse and scroll through Instagram and we ignore lots of different content. But when we're on the company side, we keep posting like boring content, right? Things that people don't want to read. And we think that they're going to love that content. But when you're a customer, you hate it. So why would you do the same, right? So I think the step 2 I would mention is really understanding who your client is. And then moving forward, really understanding the market, the marketing channels you want to stress. So really knowing what you want to achieve and which platforms are you going to use. And for example, if it's a B2C company, a business to client company, most people are on social media. So of course you're going to use social media. But if you're a B2B company, do you really think you need to be on social media? And that's a rhetorical question because sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. That will depend on your ticket, your product, who your client is. And okay, so I have defined what my product is, who my client is. I really understand them. I have talked to many different clients. I've understood what marketing channels really work. Now it gets to the fun part, and I think AI has an important role in it. And I'm not being biased here. I'm currently the co-founder of Care Intelligence. We are a low-code platform for AI generation. I have just come from California, in which we did a benchmark on the biggest and largest AI companies that are not LLMs, and I think we're in the same path. So pretty much we built AI for whoever and however they need. And so, yes, I'm very always keen to using AI. But when you look at the marketing process and you understand your marketing channels, then there's going to be a lot of content creation. There's going to be a lot of imaging and videos. There's going to be a lot of different KPIs. And if you don't know how to use AI, most likely you won't be able to be very successful in terms of finding an exciting either project or career. And I say that because AI is amazing, but AI has brought a interesting part of work relation, right? It's it can make you very anxious. Before, we used to make content, for example, for social media would take us hours or days, and now it takes us seconds. So if you cannot produce as fast as people who use AI, then it's going to be a bit tough for you to have a career in marketing. It's the same with agencies. I've hired a few agencies before, and the SLA, meaning, you know, the time they would give us the final material, would be like 2 weeks, and now it has to be less than 2 days. And because we all know that the tools are there to do that, so if you're not using those tools, and it could be ChatGPT, I would recommend a paid version, because then you will be able to keep track of your content and talk to the AI, and the AI will work for you. Currently, my AI that I use is pretty much my assistant. It knows everything about the company that I work for. So whatever, literally like whatever I need, it could be, for example, I need to brief a motion designer to create a motion for my website. Then I ask the AI, and because the AI has been post-trained with my content, it's very precise on what kind of motion and the briefing that I have to do. But anyway, so I think there's one important part of it is, you know, using the technological tools to have a better career in marketing, especially when we use and we work with technology. Because if it's a old school industry, people will be used to regular marketing people. But if you work with technology, then most likely these people, directors, CEOs, they will know the new versions of technologies that are available, and they will require you to do the same. So I gave you an example of, for example, ChatGPT, but it has so many different LLMs. There's videos and PowerPoint presentation LLMs that you will post-train. And I think that's the annoying part of it. You have to really teach. There's a career called prompt engineer, which is a new thing. And it's actually a funny career because some people are trying to hire prompt engineers with more than 5 years of experience, which is literally impossible because it's only like a 2-year career old. But anyways, so that means that you have to know how to make the right questions, right? You have to know how to do the proper prompt. You have to know how to insert the information in the LLM. And I think that takes us back to the first step, which to me is the best part of working with marketing, is that you have to be very creative and authentic, because there's no more space for generalistic, boring content. Everyone knows how to do those, I can open ChatGPT right now and say like, hey, create me 150 posts for my new glasses company for Instagram. And ChatGPT will do that like in 5 seconds, but it will be very generic. Everyone will have that. Now imagine that most companies are doing that, right? Most companies are just the director of something, or the intern is using ChatGPT to create content. Why do I need a marketing person? Like, why do I need someone in the middle if I already have all these technologies? And it's awesome because even last week when I was in California, I was with a marketing director agency, and it's an agency that makes more than 500 million a year, so they're pretty big. And he asked me like, hey Nicole, do you think that I'm gonna be replaced? And I said, of course not, because you're a creative person. You're gonna be right in the middle, and you're gonna be the bridge between someone who knows how to do a prompt and someone who really understands content and can have something that people will look forward and want to read and want to see. So those are my 2 cents on how the marketing, and it's a very short, of course, perspective, but it's the obvious, just being creative and really understand the product and who you're talking to. And if I were to guess, at least 50% of people that are working in the field are forgetting to look at that.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing, Nicole. It's great to hear about your company and how it's solving all these problems and how people can use it to solve their problems in marketing. And yeah, amazing. It was great to have your kid in the background join us. That's pretty amazing. So that's something that excites me about tech. It's also the fact that it allows you to be flexible so you can have a career and also have a life, and it just merges and it just works because of the opportunity to work remotely and everything around that. So thank you very much, Nicole, for taking time out to do this with us. It was a very amazing session. We know that everybody that has listened and will listen will definitely gain a lot of insights from it. So thank you.
Great. Thank you.
All right. Okay, so we're going to be moving on to the next part of this event, which is the panel session. But before that, we're going to have a quick break for 1 minute. There'll be a couple of videos playing, so just watch and enjoy, and we'll be right back in 1 minute.
Bring that joy. Bring that joy. Bring that joy.
All right, welcome to the next section of this event, which is the panel section. This panel is going to be talking about how you can get into tech and essentially have jobs beyond coding. So our panelists are going to tell you how they got into their careers and what they do day to day. So for the first panelist, we have Martin Nally. So Martin Nally is a compliance and MLRO consultant. He's going to tell you exactly what that means very shortly. We also have Favor. Favor Okori is a people operations specialist. She would also tell you exactly what that means. We have Mohammed Nasir, is a senior digital marketing specialist. So these are the amazing people that are going to be on the panel and are going to take you through this journey and tell you exactly how you can do what they have done. All right. Hello, Martin. Hello, Mohammed. Hello, Favor. How are you doing today? Martin, you can go first.
Thank you so much. Thanks for the introduction, and good evening or good afternoon, everybody. I'm coming from Dublin, Ireland. I'm originally from the States, so my background is in compliance for 14 years now. I originally studied finance in school and thought I wanted to go the stockbroker route, and ended up with the financial intelligence unit team in State Street Bank. And then I got involved with compliance, and I've always had a passion for blockchain and crypto technology, and knew that it had the potential to grow. And so I've worked for some of the big four, PwC, Ernst & Young, and whenever I was working with them, I could see that there's so much potential and so many clients reaching out asking what's the future, what's going to happen in regards to regulation. And so that always intrigued me, and I could tell that there was definitely a bubble there, as well as a niche market in regards to compliance and the technology around it. So, of course, with your normal banking industries, you're going to have the KYC, so know your customer, know your business, KYB, and then depending on the different jurisdictions. So I've worked for eight different countries now within my career, working in Bermuda for the government agency there, as well as in Ireland for the Bank of Ireland. And obviously with the crypto, there's constant changes, constant regulation changes, and finally we're starting to see a lot more, a response from some of the SEC, not only in Nigeria, but also in the U.S. and in some big court cases. Obviously, the ETF, Bitcoin ETF, and that's really where I grew my passion in regards to working with startups, helping different startups kind of build a compliance program, because a lot of times compliance is kind of like the last. A lot of companies don't like compliance because it could potentially be slowing down the customer base, but at the same time, that security and being able to get the right customers onboarded is the most important thing. I'm sure you've seen the fines from some of the banks, and obviously with crypto and blockchain technology as a new investment vehicle, that's what kind of drove me to it, is to be able to be on the forefront and be able to build up the policies and procedures while the changes are being made on a weekly, daily basis. So one of the biggest challenges I'd say is being able to keep up with, the different jurisdictions. Obviously, the UAE is a lot less strict than maybe the US, for example, or the EU is a lot less strict than the US at the moment. But we're starting to see a lot more growth globally in regards to crypto. So I definitely, I can't stress enough, like, the importance of compliance and the technology behind it. There's all these different programs to look at different trends, transactional trends, what coins that we offer at One Liquidity. Currently serving as the money laundering reporting officer. So basically what that means is any transaction that's suspicious or needs to be looked at by the government agency, that information would get sent to them by me, depending on where your company's based. So for example, One Liquidity's, we're based in Canada. So basically any transaction over 10,000 US dollars or 10 Canadian dollars, any transaction over 10,000 needs to be reported directly to FinTrack, which is connected to the government agency for Bank of Canada. And basically all the transactions get looked at, monitored, and then so we have a system for transaction monitoring that we use. It's called chain analysis. And basically what it does is you do investigations for each transaction depending on how much money, what coins they're using, and basically do a deep dive in to make sure that this is the customer that we want onboarded. But no, it's definitely, I know there's a lot of people on the call right now probably wanting to start their own business, and I would highly recommend looking more into compliance, because that is what they're going to be looking for in regards to external auditors and internal auditors, to be able to make sure that everything's running per se with your policies and procedures, and making sure that that's lined up with exactly the work that you're doing. So those are the biggest inputs, I'd say, in regards to what the importance of compliance, but also especially with the new investment vehicles such as crypto.
All right. Thank you very much for sharing, Martin. We'll move over to Favor now to tell us a little bit about yourself and your career as a people whisperer.
All right, thank you very much. I'm so excited to be on the call today. I'm in the UK and it's 5:25 p.m. where I am. So good evening, good afternoon, good morning, everyone. So my name is Favor, and to give you a bit of background, I work in HR. I call myself the people whisperer. But here's the fun part. I do it in the world of tech. And before you ask, yes, I do not code. I know a lot of people wonder HR tech, but yes, I do not code. I just actually manage the people side of things in tech. So this is making sure we're hiring the right engineers and building the future. So just ensuring that we're building a great workplace behind the scenes. My journey into tech wasn't really a straight line. And then it wasn't really a switch, it was more of a transition. I began in HR and I was fascinated by how tech companies were shaping the future. as the tech industry grew, I know it was bit by bit. There was even a time I wondered, oh, how can I jump into tech? I think tech is the next big thing. But then I'm here to actually share perspective that going into tech doesn't mean you have to program. So for those that are here and saying, "Oh, I'm not in tech. I'm not a programmer. I'm not a designer, but I want to be in tech." I'm here to share all this perspective on how you can get into tech without programming. Thank you.
All right. All right. Thank you very much for that lovely, lovely, lovely introduction. And I would head over to a lovely Mohammed to give us his introduction and tell us a little bit more about what he does and how he started doing it. Over to you, Mohammed.
Thank you so much, Ajiri. And it's 7:30 p.m. in Qatar, so I can see the lovely night sky, and glad to be here. And I think I would probably start off with what I currently do. I'm a senior digital marketing specialist for one of the leading group companies in Qatar. And I pretty much take care of the digital advertising, the overlook the social media of the business units that I work with. Uh, I'm part of a small agency that handles the group's activities, and it's been a very rewarding career that I've had for the past 15 years. And I would say um, lots of ups and downs, lots of changes. Social media has changed drastically over the past few years. And what I used to do in the very beginning of my career is not the same as what I currently do. And each day brings up a new challenge, new way of doing things. And, the big players, Google, YouTube, Meta, all these people would come up with different ways to reach customers. And thanks to being here online, it's all part of tech. Though you don't need coding to be somebody in tech, right? And what I'll be talking about today is how I came into this picture, and I mean, how you, as somebody who's just getting started, or even um, currently fresh into the market, what are the ways that you could probably get into this field, right? So, um, very brief. I don't want to take too much time because there's lots more questions, lots more stuff to discuss, and I'll be looking forward to all the questions. Back to you, Ajiri.
Thank you very much, Mohammed, for that lovely, lovely, lovely introduction. All right, so now we're moving into the questions. We have a couple of questions lined up for our panelists. And the first one is, how did you transition into tech and why did you make the switch? We'll be having Favor go first, and then Martin, and then Mohammed.
All right. Thank you once again. So, just like I previously mentioned, it was for me, it was less of a switch and more of an evolution. I began in HR, and it was just getting to know that there are productivity tools out there that can make my work better. I could have stayed behind and probably just stayed fixated on doing things manually and whatnot. But then I had to discover, I did research and discovered that there were a whole lot of tools out there that could improve productivity and just take me from being traditional HR that just probably signs and hires and fires basically to an HR in tech that is supporting tech companies. So, like I said, it was more of an evolution. And I believe each and every role can actually go through this transition just like I did.
Awesome. Thank you very much for sharing. Over to you, Martin.
Yeah, so for myself, the reason I got into fintech, so I was working in traditional banking, and I always knew that I had a passion for crypto, and knew that, as I said, that I thought that was kind of that was the future, because I was always wondering, you can send an email in 2 seconds, but for example, you can't send a transaction to Nigeria, for example, it'll take two days, and then you're also paying a fee for Swift. So I knew there was potential there, and so I got into tech, the fintech space, because started working for a startup company called Ledgermatic, based in the UK, and was able to basically build up the policies and procedures for the head of compliance there, and knew that this was a growing market, and found myself really loving the idea of being able to be so close to the tech teams and kind of learn from them as well. Because as you know, compliance wouldn't be, a coding a type of position. But as you kind of work with all the teams, which I would highly recommend everyone to do, is try to learn from, the tech team that specialize in that work, and be able to kind of onboard it and be able to work with whatever tools that I have for compliance. I know for myself, I can reach out directly to my team, the tech team there, and be able to implement whatever policies or procedures that I need to get changed for One Liquidity, and make sure that the application reflects exactly what we're trying to prove and try to achieve as a company.
All right. Thank you very much for sharing. Over to you, Mohammed.
Thank you. Right. So, how did I transition into tech? Well, before I got into tech, I was actually into customer service, and I loved it. It was amazing. That satisfaction of being able to provide answers to somebody's problem and for them to be actually happy with my responses, it was rewarding. And somehow that transition from customer service was easy when the what do you call it, the growth of Twitter. So I'm from Sri Lanka, and around the time that I switched, Twitter was quite big, and people were pretty much, running around on Twitter, having conversations, having interactions, and it was so easy to kind of just hop on there and have conversations. So obviously, that feel of being able to have interactions with people came naturally for me, and it evolved eventually into me being part of managing brands and their social media accounts, and getting on those platforms to just help customers, right? So it naturally came to me, and I obviously thought, okay, I know marketing, I know the basics of marketing, I know customer service, and social media is probably the next big thing. So just jumped in on it, and the journey was not easy, not hard, right? I would say, because my first time actually going into managing clients was just taking on an agency which was handling a couple of clients based in Sri Lanka, and it was a journey by itself, learning on the go while managing the team. And I would say from then on to now, everything I've learned is completely off the internet. So yay, tech, right? And it's I would say it was amazing, right? And as long as you have the passion to learn and the ability to be able to put into practice what I learned, was just pretty much what I needed. Yep.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing, Mohammed. We'll be moving on to the next question now. So, what does a typical day look like in your role, and what tech tools do you rely on? We'll start with Martin right now.
Yeah, so a typical day for myself would be, so we have a transaction monitoring tool which focuses on any transaction over 5,000 or any suspicious transactions. For example, the category that kind of sticks out the most right now that I can think of would be like an ATM transaction that from a different jurisdiction from where our client is currently located. So say if there's a Bitcoin transaction based in the US, but we know that client is living in Nigeria, for example, that would be something that we would look into, make sure that everything checks the box, and the analyst would work on that case to make sure that there's a good reason behind it. So yeah, I think those are some of the challenges, as well as so the tools that we would use specifically, like on a day-to-day basis. We're currently going through reporting all of our transactions, as I said, directly to the FinTrack, which is connected to Bank of Canada. So what we're currently doing is gathering all the transactions from the past year, over 10,000, being able to build it with over-the-counter transactions as well, put all the transactions together, and use an API system, which I'm sure a lot of the tech people will understand that, and basically report it to them while we get our re-registration to Canada. And so there's a lot of hard work that goes into that to make sure that we give the details for the customers that we want to give, and don't provide any information that's not necessary. So that's on a day-to-day basis, we do that. And then obviously we would consistently kind of update the team in regards to any changes that are made based off the regulators. Currently Canada is very strict, whereas like, for example, in Ireland, you would only report suspicious activity, where it wouldn't matter the amount of money that somebody's depositing in Bitcoin, for example, or withdrawing Bitcoin. It would just be specifically to suspicious activity reports, or something that would, or a memo that would kind of basically be like a 2-page breakdown of why we believe this is suspicious, etc. Is it a politically exposed person, or is it somebody that's been sanctioned? And we'd have tools such as World Check, or anything like that would pop up if they were a political figure, or if they were somebody that had a background in fraud. So that's it.
All right, thank you very much. I want to put a spin to the question. You said a lot of things about all these checks and what you do day to day. So what kind of personality type, like what do I need to like and enjoy to like or pursue a career in compliance?
Yeah, great. That's a great question. I think a lot of it has to do with just being interested in the actual monitoring and investigation side of things. So like I've always been interested in, like I started off working at Wall Street, and I quickly realized it wasn't for me. I'd rather be on the more ethical side of the business. So it's basically being interested in the investigations, following the transaction trends, whether it be Bitcoin, fiat, and being able to kind of dig deeper in each case, each investment, and be able to use your analytical skills to be able to process, like, I mean, obviously the more years you do it, you kind of will know if something is suspicious. Like, for example, when I worked in Bermuda, all of our clients had a net worth to even start an account of $1 million US. So we're dealing with a lot of high net worth investors, and 80% of the clientele were from Mexico. So a lot of the new investors would have to go through an extensive research. For example, what type of company do they run? Do they run like a specific, do they own like a farm that sells bananas that they're running through Mexico? And there's a lot of cases that we had that were third cousins of a cartel member, for example. So some very interesting cases that we've had for Bermuda specifically, based on the fact that it was a tax haven at the time. So I think if you're interested in the investigation side of things, but also being able to keep track of the changes in regulation, it'd be a great opportunity to go into compliance.
All right, thank you very much for sharing. And we'll move over to Favor now. So tell us a little bit of your day to day, what you do? Are you more behind the scenes? You have to interact with people, and what kind of personalities would you recommend would go into being a people whisperer?
All right, thank you once again. So for being in HR, you have to first let me go to my day to day. I work with a lot of, I have to collaborate with a lot of stakeholders, from managers to employees, those times. And then you have times where you're hiring, you have to reach out to people, you have to connect, you have to network, and then you still have to check on the people, that's the employees, to see that everyone is doing great, and that the culture of the company is still is being transmitted or communicated correctly. Then you have the policy bit, we have a bit of compliance, um, just I think it's just a little bit of everything. So just like your question where you asked what kind of personality, I think you have to be able to know how to manage multiple tasks at a time, because there's going to be a lot. You'll probably wake up with a to-do list. This is what I have to do today. And then a lot of things may come up. Employee issues may arise. There might just be a new issue that you found out. Okay, policy needs to be updated and communicated and shared with the organization. You have to get this approval or the next approval. So you have to be a great multitasker. You have to be able to keep up with trends, because things are always changing, and you don't want to get caught um, on the wrong side. That's why we also have to collaborate a lot with the compliance team. When Martin was speaking, I could almost relate, because a lot of times, half the time, I have to collaborate with the compliance team where I work, because they have to collaborate with us and review our policies, just do a lot of checks for us. Like the background checks that we do, we have to use some compliance tools to actually also carry this out. So, like I said, you have to be a great multitasker. You have to be patient. You're dealing with people. So, basic skills that you will need for customer service, you also need in people management as well.
All right, thank you very much, Favor. So over to you, Mohammed. Tell us, right? Tell us what a typical day looks like for you as a senior digital marketing specialist. What tools do you rely on, and what can people do if they, are interested in this? What? Just tell us.
Okay. Well, maybe one thing that I would love to make sure that people understand in when they get into the role of digital marketing is the fact that you shouldn't get into the position of being a one-man army, right? And I've been through that scenario multiple times, but because I know how to navigate it, I've eventually evolved from just being able to quickly get things done, even if I'm on my own. But so a typical day for me is basically I come in, I get to see, I have a one single platform, it's a dashboard where I get to see what are the customers' interactions from all of the different accounts that I manage, get to check all of the comments, messages, respond to all of them, uh, assign it to clients or assign it to other members of the team, and then basically move on to any content that needs to be published or scheduled in advance, right? So, because we are in social media, we have so much of content that comes and goes. So, those things get taken care of. And again, this uses the same platform, right? There are plenty of platforms on the market that you can use for this purpose. And if you're a small business, you don't need to rely on these tools. You can simply focus on the native applications. So Meta offers one single platform, the Meta Business Suite, where you can manage both Instagram and Facebook content. Uh, Twitter has its own way of scheduling content. You have TikTok, you have LinkedIn. What else? All the other platforms pretty much have the option to kind of manage on its own. But of course, if you are a big agency or you have multiple accounts that you need to manage, you need tools such as Hootsuite, Buffer, and even like larger enterprise products like Sprout Social or Brandwatch, right? So these are some of the tools that I've dealt with, I've worked with. And then, of course, we go on to the other side of digital marketing, which is advertising, right? So I would use Google Ads to manage my ad accounts. There's Google Analytics if I need to monitor traffic on our websites and on our tool, all our platforms. And then Meta Ads Manager, which I pretty much live on it on a day-to-day basis. I have the mobile app, I have the desktop application basically to take care of all the campaigns that are running. And this is pretty much what a typical day looks like for me. And of course, it's a streamlined process. Mornings, evenings, always dedicated to customers. And then, of course, in between all the other work that comes involved. But of course, if I go into a senior role, there's times when I don't do the execution. It'll be more about managing all of these things on a high level. And yes, I guess that covers pretty much, right, Ajiri?
Yes, yes, it does. So I would like to
Amazing.
ask a follow-up question. So
Sure.
for someone that's watching this live and
Mhm.
is interested in starting their career in digital marketing, what do they do? What kind of courses should they try to take? And what's the path for an entry-level digital marketer?
I think a good start is kind of just jumping in, first of all. I know a lot of people have been wondering, okay, uh, I need to have a career in digital marketing. How do I do this? So, uh, first of all, Google has lots of free certification programs. Meta has lots of free certification programs, not certification, training programs. There's lots of free resources by Hootsuite, by HubSpot, right? All of these platforms offer free trainings, free learning tutorials, practical stuff that you can actually jump on just to gain that knowledge. And then, of course, I would say putting it into practice is up to you, basically. So if you wanted to learn how to do ads, just jump in. You can create a free ad account on Google, right? Jump in, just don't get stuck with putting payments and accidentally running your ad account with some $400 bill and then be like, oops, I didn't pay for it, right? So try not to get into that kind of scenario. But all of the tools, all of the resources that are available for managing social media, managing digital marketing are currently free, right? So all you need to do is take up the courage, get started on that, and learn, right? And that's something that I did. I didn't know how to do Facebook ads, but I just jumped in there. I was like, okay, all right, okay, where is how do you navigate this? And one of the things I did was basically learning on the go. And because of me being able to understand how no tech generally works, right? If you know how to search on Google effectively, I mean that's one hint that okay, you know how to do stuff, right? So that was my kind of like threshold, right? If you know how to do tech, you can just jump in on these things and navigate. And even the tool that I currently use for managing all of our clients' accounts, it wasn't something where I waited for training. I jumped in, got familiar with it, and then I get a call from the team like, "Hey, so we have an onboarding session." It's like, why onboarding? I'm already onboarded, right? So it's up to you to jump in and test your knowledge. And if you find yourself, finding a gap, you go on Google. Now you have ChatGPT. You can ask, "Hey, I'm trying to do this. How do I go about it?" And you'll get the best responses, right? So if I was to tell somebody to get started on digital marketing, just jump on it ASAP, right? And just learn on the go.
All right, thank you very much, Mohammed. So I'll be addressing our live viewers. If you have any questions, put them in the comments, and we'll be taking questions very soon. So now we're moving on to Martin. What skills have been the most valuable to you and have helped you succeed in your tech role without coding?
Yeah, so the skills that I learned from working on different projects for Ernst & Young and PwC definitely provided the most skills because you're working on so many different projects, whether it be for BNY Mellon or a big American bank, or you're working for a startup crypto firm that's looking for advice for consultation in regards to regulation. So that would be kind of what stands out in regards to kind of where. So sorry, could you repeat the question one more time? So yeah, the skills. So definitely being able to kind of adjust. So I've worked in the gaming industry as well. So it's called Paddy Power in Ireland. So for example, you have to kind of be able to adapt to different areas within compliance. So there's always a different kind of output. Like, so for example, when you walk into, if you're working for State Street or a larger firm, Sumi Trust, they already have their procedures and policies that they've been doing for 20 plus years. So the skill set to be able to start for a startup company, for example, is to be able to quickly adjust, understand their goals, where they want to move. Like if that currently, like for One Liquidity, we're focused strictly on the Africa, different businesses based in Africa and individuals there. So it's being able to adapt to the regulation changes, as well as being able to understand all the different operations that go on depending on the industry. So if I'm working for a gaming industry, which obviously has taken off during the COVID times, it was very different than obviously switching over to focus mainly on crypto. I was able to quickly adjust based on the fact of, I had a lot of interest within cryptocurrency before and had a good understanding, but being able to go in and basically take all your experience that you've gotten from the traditional banking, and being able to apply that to the updated policies and procedures for a completely different industry, is one skill set that I definitely learned, being able to, work in all these different industries, work in different countries as well. And each country has their own way of kind of, providing their work, in regards to, maybe, as I said, they don't want to make the changes that you see that could help benefit the company to, whether it be have fewer analysts, or for example, I've run or managed a team of 15 for a project at Bank of America when I was working at Ernst & Young. So it's all dependent on being able to adjust the skill set, understand the company goals, and be able to kind of provide that and mentor others. Such as if you want to get into compliance, you start off as an analyst, being able to review accounts, new customers that get onboarded, and from there, you'll quickly be able to move up and understand the bigger picture for the company's goals.
All right, thank you very much for sharing. We'll be moving over to Mohammed to answer the same question. So, what are the skills that have helped you be successful in your role?
Well, for one, I think the biggest skill that I manage to kind of bring to the table is my understanding of marketing in general, right? And when I studied marketing, it was the basic marketing, right? The traditional marketing, where how do you execute a great outdoor ad? How do you work on a TVC? What's the best strategy to create a 360 campaign? But at that time, digital was not a big deal, right? There was hardly any aspect of thinking about putting an ad on a Facebook page or Instagram or even doing a Google ad, right? And this was the very beginning. So, but taking that skill set of knowing how to do marketing helped me into quickly understanding, okay, right, how do I take this knowledge and move to how customers would perceive you online, right? That's one of the most valuable skills that I have. And even today, if I was to go and sit in a role where somebody says, I want you to connect between digital and traditional marketing, I can easily uh, bring those two together, merge it together, and be like, here's how we can do it, right? And uh, apart from that, it's also being able to navigate technology without getting overwhelmed, right? I know a lot of people find it very difficult sometimes to kind of understand how certain things work, but it's that mindset of, you know what, if I don't know, I would never know, right? So you push yourself to kind of learn that particular tech, right? And just get on with it. And I know for a fact, I don't know coding. Right? I know HTML, but I don't know how to sit down and write Python or the C++ and all this stuff, right? But at least I would be able to kind of sit through somebody's conversation and not get overwhelmed by like what they're trying to tell because I know how things work in the tech world. So it's just more about, I think, my understanding of marketing and how tech works is just kind of enough to get into this kind of role. And then, of course, learning on the go. That I think it's a special skill to uh, be a sponge. You know, I don't know. You could be SpongeBob to be able to absorb everything that's happening around you and pretty much uh, sit in that role, right? So in the tech world, be a SpongeBob.
All right, thank you very much for that. Lovely. I love SpongeBob, so that's perfect. Okay, so we'll be taking questions from the audience now. And yeah, so the first question says, Hello Nasir, what platform or company do you think is currently the best slash biggest in the digital marketing niche aside Google?
Okay. Apart from Google, it's definitely Meta, right? Meta is currently going uh, hand to hand with Google because they're taking over every screen, every mobile device with their advertising. But still, Google plays a huge role in everybody's digital marketing. But so that I think I would love to make this distinction where when you say digital marketing, it's everything. So social media is another component of digital marketing, right? So uh, if somebody gets into the role of digital marketing, you're incorporating social media, you're incorporating email marketing, you're incorporating SEO, uh, and everything in between that comes where you're going to communicate with your customers. So, so that being said, Google becomes a major component of your digital marketing efforts. Apart from that, you also have Meta, which is probably the cheaper way of reaching your customers. So, yep, that's one of the I would probably answer in that way. Thank you, Stefan, for that question.
All right, thank you very much, Mohammed. We're going to move over to the next question right about now. I think this question should be for Martin. One sec while it pops up. Okay, it says, how do you create a balance between what your organization wants and what you think should be done based on your expertise in the case where there's no alignment?
Yeah, perfect. I think that's, one of my skill sets that I'd say is the communication between all teams. So, when I start a new role, you want to get to know each side of the business, what's been working for them, as well as what can be improved. So, from my experience, I've worked with 4 different startups, and then obviously the big major banks, and you can take, as what the other speaker mentioned, in regards to being a SpongeBob, take all the information that you can get and see what has worked for the different roles that you've worked for, and basically show them, give them examples. Like, there's so many demos that you can get. For example, LexisNexis, which is a service provider that gives you the ability. I think it's a 1 or 2 month free trial where you can learn how it works. It's a more expensive software that they use, but to be able to show them that, okay, look, this is how you can drastically decrease the workload, but also it gives you the best practice. It gives you the best information that you need on the clients, as well as the lists of different sanctioned or PEPs that you might have on your books that you might not have known that they were PEPs previously. So I think that's one major thing is being able to communicate with the founders or anyone on the board, set up a meeting, show them examples of why you believe that a certain technology, for example, works better than others, and kind of give them the demo, the experience of maybe using a different system and the benefits of that system compared to what's currently being used.
All right, thank you very much for sharing, Martin.
Of course, yeah.
We would like for you, Favor, to answer this question again from your perspective as a people whisperer. How do you create a balance between what your organization wants and what you think should be done based on your expertise in a case where there's no alignment?
All right, thank you for that. So for this question, a lot of times I always preach data, data, data. In my team, I manage analytics, data analytics. So I guess that's why I'm always preaching for data. So when you're coming to management, you are, as I like to call it, you're the CEO of your role. So the management has given you this role because they trust you. So now it's for you to get them on board. So you're bringing data to prove to them, okay, based on these statistics, based on X company that tried it out, this is what the results were. So you're not just coming to say, trust me, this works. You're showing them how, you're showing them a pattern of someone else who tried it and it worked. And if there is no data for that, well, you can at least show a projection, or like Martin said, a demo of what the journey looks like. It really helps them. It really helps to get them on board. So you have to be strategic when you're presenting your case. So show them data, try to walk them through the journey, let them see reasons why, let them see um, proposed results that would come out of making this decision and just being in alignment.
All right, thank you very much for sharing. This brings us, to the end of our panel session. Thank you so much, our lovely panelists, for sharing all the wisdom that you have shared today. So for our guests that are watching, our attendees, do follow them across socials. I know they do. They share a lot of things. Mohammed, for example, does a lot of content creation around digital marketing. Martin also shares from time to time, and I know Favor is also sharing stuff too. I hope they can reach out to you if they have more questions and they need some advice. So thank you very much, everyone, for showing up today. We hope to see you tomorrow. I will talk about the people that code and design and carry out product management. Yeah. So we'll see you on the other side. We'll see you tomorrow. Thank you for attending today.
In one word, describe the game's hangout.
vibrant. Everyone's kind of getting along, playing games.
I would be underestimating if I gave it any less than a 10, right? I've met some fantastic people here today, so it's a 10.
Oh, I'm loving it. I'm loving it, especially this drink from Quarter of Cards. Yes, the best drink ever, passion fruit.
I had a lot of fun, honestly. I feel I've been in touch with my inner child, which is something I should do more.
Such a different atmosphere altogether. I don't think I have ever been to such an event earlier.
What's your impression of Builders Tribe so far?
Builders Tribe just screams community. It's just for the people.
The way you've managed and organized this event, I'm really impressed because it's something that we haven't done before and we were lacking as a community.
It's a nice community. I love how you came up with the idea to network with a lot of people. Networking, chilling, hanging out, playing cards. I love it. Drinks, especially. I love my drinks.
Community, coming together. I've met 6 new people today, which is really good. And I'm going to take those meetings further. I'm going to just through games.
It is getting interesting, and I think after today's conversation that I had around the table, there's some interesting subject and plan and project coming up.
This tech community is different in terms of the way networking is being happening. There are these young minds behind it, so we get to learn a lot with these guys.
I've been looking for a community such as this for quite some time.
It's a lovely community actually and diverse. I love that I met some people who work with as mentors in the community, and it's also fun to see some university students joining, so there's a really diverse, let's say, background of people joining all in all.
Bring that joy.